I bought 40 acres of timberland outside of Duluth, Minnesota in 2019 with money I'd saved from 12 years of electrical work. The property came with a cabin. Nothing fancy. 2 rooms, a wood stove, a well, no internet, no cell service. The nearest house is a guy named Royce who runs a small sawmill about 3 miles up the logging road. We wave at each other. That's the extent of our relationship. I set up trail cameras the first spring. 6 of them. Moultrie brand, the ones with the infrared flash that doesn't spook the deer. I bolted them to trees along the game trails and the creek bed, mostly because I wanted to know what was moving through the property. I hunt in October, and knowing the patterns helps. For 2 years, the cameras gave me exactly what I expected. Deer, a few turkeys, raccoons, 1 black bear in June 2020 that never came back. Royce's dog wandered through once, coyotes in winter, the usual. Last November, Camera 4 started giving me something else. Camera 4 is the farthest one from the cabin, about 1.5 miles northeast, bolted to a birch tree overlooking a clearing where 2 game trails cross. It's a natural funnel. Deer use it constantly. The camera triggers on motion and stamps each photo with a date, time, and temperature. November 14th, 3:12 a.m. Temperature 18 degrees Fahrenheit. The photo shows the clearing lit up by the infrared flash. The grass is frosted white. The tree line is visible in the background, maybe 30 yards away. Standing just inside the tree line, not in the clearing, but right at the edge where the shadows begin, there's a shape. It's tall, too tall. The trees in that area are mature birch and jack pine, and whatever this is reaches about 2/3 of the way up the nearest trunk. I'd estimate 7, maybe 8 feet. It's thin. Not unnaturally thin, but lean, like something that moves a lot and doesn't eat enough. The infrared caught its outline, but not much detail. It's facing the camera. 2 points of reflected light, where eyes should be. I stared at that photo on the camera's little playback screen for a long time, standing in the clearing in the middle of the afternoon with my boots in the frost. I told myself it was a tree. A weird branch formation, a double exposure from the cheap sensor. I checked the photos before and after. 3:08 a.m. Empty clearing. 3:12 a.m. The shape. 3:14 a.m. Empty clearing. It was there for less than 6 minutes. I pulled the SD card and drove to the library in Duluth to look at the photo on a real screen. Zoomed in, it didn't look more like a tree. It looked less like one. The proportions were wrong. The limbs, if they were limbs, were too long for the torso. And there was something about the way it stood, not like an animal would stand. Animals shift their weight, they lean. This thing was planted, vertical, like someone had driven a stake into the ground. I told Royce about it when I saw him at the end of his driveway. He listened without saying much. Then he told me that his grandfather used to trap this area in the 40s and 50s, and that he'd once told Royce there were things in these woods that didn't have names because the Ojibwe wouldn't name them. "Not everything out here is an animal," Royce said, and then he changed the subject to the price of firewood. I moved camera 4 to a different tree, lower, with a better angle on the tree line. I waited. December 2nd, 2:47 a.m. Temperature 6 degrees Fahrenheit. The clearing, empty. Then at 2:51 a.m., it's back. Same posture, same height, but closer. Not at the tree line anymore, it's standing about 15 yards from the camera in the middle of the clearing. The frost around it is disturbed, but not in footprints. More like something was dragged, or like the ground itself shifted. The eyes are brighter in this photo. They're not reflecting the infrared the way a deer's eyes do, that yellow-green retro-reflective bounce. These are dimmer, reddish, like the light is coming from behind the eyes instead of bouncing off them. I replaced Camera 4's SD card every week through December. It appeared 4 more times, always between 2 and 4 a.m., always in the clearing, each time closer to the camera. The last photo from December 29th shows it standing about 8 feet from the tree where Camera 4 was mounted. At this distance, the infrared lit it up more than I wanted. The skin, if that's what it is, looks grey, mottled. The texture is wrong. Not like skin at all, actually. More like bark, like birch bark that's been wetted and stretched over something. It has a mouth. I didn't see it in the earlier photos because the resolution was too low, but at 8 feet, the camera caught it. The mouth is open. Not wide, just slightly parted, like it's about to say something, or like it just finished. I stopped checking Camera 4 after that. I pulled it off the tree in January when the snow was deep enough that I felt safe making the hike. Something about the daylight and the whiteout conditions made it feel like nothing could hide. The camera was damaged, the housing was intact, but the lens had a crack running diagonally across it. Not from impact. The plastic wasn't dented. The crack looked like it came from pressure, like something had pressed its face against the lens slowly enough and hard enough to split it without shattering it. The last photo on the card is from January 3rd, 3:12 a.m., same timestamp as the first one. The image is mostly black. The cracked lens distorted everything, but in the center, filling the entire frame, there's a texture, grey, mottled. I think it pressed its face against the camera. I think it was looking at me through the lens, not at the trail, not at the clearing, at me. The person who looks at the photos. I still live here. I still hunt in October. I still check cameras 1 through 3 and 5 and 6. I don't go northeast anymore. I don't go near that clearing. Royce asked me last week if I'd been hearing anything at night. I told him no, that's not entirely true. But the sounds I hear aren't sounds exactly. It's more like the absence of sound. A pocket of silence that moves through the trees around 3 a.m., drifting from the northeast, passing behind the cabin and continuing southwest. Like something large is walking through the woods and everything, the owls, the wind, the creaking branches, goes quiet to let it pass. It's been getting closer to the cabin. I know this because the silence is louder now.